All right, so I hope we can see the screen right. Anyone else can confirm if you're able to see it?
How you can see it?
Perfect. Okay. So I was telling something about ERP, right? So see, ERP is nothing but enterprise resource planning, which is a tool. There are so many ERP tools inside, in the market right now. Maybe you might have heard about some of the tools called like SAP, PeopleSoft. Can someone mute yourself? I think some background noise is coming. Okay. Tirupati, can you take care of this muting if background is coming up? All right, so we'll continue. Yeah, I was talking about ERP, right? So there are several tools in the market right now which are called as ERPs. So in a short terms, if I talk about what exactly the ERP is, right now, if you talk about the outside companies right now, let's consider like Infosys or TCS, any other company. Maybe some of you also would be working in a company, right? So let me pick this Excel and start putting some data so you can easily relate to that. Let's say there is a company right now. Maybe I'll say Infosys, right? And there could be several thousands of employees working in Infosys. Let's say, for example, right now, 1,000 employees are working in Bangalore location, right? So Infosys has to maintain this 1,000 employees data somewhere in the application. So including from the employee name, starting from the employee name and their basic information. It could be their right personal information, and there could be their leave information, like which are all the days that the employee is going on a leave, and maybe someone who has applied the leaves in the future, everything related to the leave, and also how many hours that they are working in a day, like timesheets. So everything related to the employee, like salaries, increments, so all this entire information they have to maintain in a system. See, earlier I think I think few decades back they're not having these kind of ERPs, so they used to maintain in the Excels, flat files, and all these things for having. There could be a chance of losing the data. But right now, when this cloud came into the picture, managing the data became very easy. The databases are easily accessible, and all those things came in. So for every company, maintaining the employees' data is really must to perform some operations, right? So Infosys can maintain this 1,000 employees in one of the ERP application, from starting from their personal information, like everything about an employee, right? So that is called as an ERP. Some companies might be using SAP to do that, and some companies might be using Workday, PeopleSoft. There are several ERP applications right now in the market, like you can say SAP or PeopleSoft, Workday, and we have Oracle Fusion HCM. So that's a basic in a layman terms what an ERP is. So enterprise resource planning, which means in an enterprise, whatever the resource that enterprise is having, so their complete information is getting stored somewhere so that they can plan, or they can kind of take some decisions according to the data which is available. Like we can say that as real time data, right? So let me go back to this Excel and let's start understanding on some of the things about ERP. So ERP is a process, as I said, it's used by the companies to manage and integrate the most important parts of their business. See, I just put it like the basic information about an employee, but there are several modules in an ERP, right? And these are classified into different categories. Like, for example, let's say we can call it as global HR, under which like employees' personal information and what exactly the work that they are doing, who is the manager for them. This kind of some data is classified into global HR. And there are some other modules like absence management, and the name itself says it's about their leave information. And we have time and labor. Names could be a little kind of technical, but the significance behind these names is clear. So HR related info like their personal information, their it could be their salary, all those things. Leave information, their timesheet. Similarly, we have several modules in the ERP application, right? So that's what they are saying it here. So it is used by the companies to manage and integrate the important parts of their business. Okay, we'll come to this exactly what important parts that we are referring here. And many ERP software applications are important to companies because they help them implement resource planning by integrating all of the process need to run their companies with a single system. So if you are able to manage your entire employees information in a single system, it's easy for the for the enterprise to manage the data very easily. Like, so they can take the calls. If I am maintaining a company, I can easily understand on how many people are getting hired in a month and how many people are getting exited in a month. At least with that, if I need to kind of improve something or do something extra effort there to, so that at least I can hold back the people who are going away, or maybe I can do something to increase my number of hires in a month, right? So that real time data is always it's going to help the companies to maybe increase their portfolio or do anything in the company, right? So that real time data is really important, and it's easy if they maintain a single system. Because right now what I have seen in so many companies, so they could be maintaining their global HR information in Oracle, and maybe their payroll information in the ADP, right? There are different systems they might be using from so long where they can't come out of that very easily. So it will be easy for the companies if they start maintaining a single system, but right now that's not how it is. But let's move on. We'll understand more. So an ERP software system can also integrate planning, purchasing. These are all the different modules that you're seeing it here. Purchasing module, inventory, sales, marketing, finance, human resource, and there are several other modules. So when it's a kind of startup or mid-level companies, they would not be having all these kind of modules, right? But when it comes to an MNC, they would be having many modules even which are not mentioned here, so which they can integrate with each other. When I say integrate, sending the data from one system to other systems so that that latest employee information is available across all the systems. So don't worry about these technical things right now. Just try to understand what exactly the ERP and what is the use of the ERP right now, right? So with that, we can move further. So this we just spoke about integrating all the process needed to run a company. So ERP solutions have evolved over the years, and many are now typically web-based applications that user can access remotely. And the application which I was talking about, where it called Oracle Fusion HCM, right? So that is a web-based application. See, when we say web-based, it's like a Gmail. Like if you have a system and even if you have a phone and if you have the internet to access, so you can just open the website and you can access that particular thing. Similarly, this Oracle Fusion HCM is also an web-based application. So wherever in the world that you are, if you are able to have the internet and a proper system, you can access that particular application. Because if it is not a web-based, right, you need to have that software installed, and there'll be a little bit of a complications. If you don't have that software, you again have to install that. If that's a problem. So web-based application is really useful where you can access remotely when you have the proper internet and the system, right? So Oracle Fusion is one of that. And an ERP system can be ineffective if a company doesn't implement it carefully. Like just saying, like even though the application is really good, Oracle has developed it, application has several benefits, but if you're not able to implement that properly, obviously you can't use all the benefits from it, right? So just a point, it's not. And so these are the different core process needed to run a like an MNC company right now, right? So they need to have the finance, HR, manufacturing, supply chain, and procurement, and few other core modules, I would say. So, but we are not getting into the detailing of each module here. So we'll talk about what exactly is needed right now to get into this ERP technology. That I'll explain. So they provide visibility, analytics, and efficiency across every aspect of business. So using the latest technologies, ERP systems facilitate the flow of real-time information across departments. So obviously, if you are maintaining the real-time information in the system, like maybe as I said, Infosys is having 1,000 members, and if I want to kind of understand how many people are senior managers in it, or how many people are, let's say, senior consultants, so I can easily get some data out of the system or out of the database, so that based on that I can plan my next compensation cycle, or I can decide on how many people that I want to increment, or how many promotions that I have to plan, like, because these are the management decisions that they want to take based on the real time data that they are having in the organization. And this ERP application will be really helpful to get that particular kind of analysis to them, right? So we can get into the deeper details of how exactly this analysis can be taken from the application, all those things. And don't worry, there's not coding, which is needed here. Like it's not a JavaScript or Python, nothing is needed. So basic SQL concepts, which is really easy to understand, that will help you to figure out what is the real-time data available with different sort of analysis, right? All right. So let's move on to the next thing. So benefits of ERP. So an ERP system is made of enterprise resource planning application, which are with several modules that talk to each other. So which means, as I said, let's say one of the companies maintaining HR data, which means employee hiring information and everything in one of the system, right? And which is called Oracle Fusion. Let's assume that in the same application we have the absence management module as well. So these are two different modules. But when someone is getting hired in the system in the global HR module, right? When we say module, it's just a task in the application. So when that employee's information is getting stored over there, absence management module should automatically pick it from there. We need not to write like save this information in every module. So ERP module is designed in such a way so different modules talk to each other inside the application. Okay, that we will understand when we practically deal with the application, how exactly that thing happens. But most of the modules in the ERP applications will get integrated with each other. We don't need to have a separate, there is something called middleware, right? Middleware is nothing but if you want to send the data from one system or one module to another module, you need to write some JavaScripts or use some APIs, which are a little bit complicated again, which we don't need to. So they talk to each other internally. That's how the ERP application is designed. Okay, this means you can eliminate information silos between departments and give everyone a single source of truth, right? So when you just deal the information with just one module, and if that module is sending the information to every other module, you don't need to worry about the mismatch in the information or loss of data, and that kind of confusions won't be there. And your system can automate your core business process and help you ensure regulatory compliance. Just some technical, don't need to worry about that.
Pawan, okay.
Yes.
Is there any other data that we can use, or should we only focus on the employee data if we are using the ERP systems?
No, it's need not to be only the year employees data.
Uh, can be any
So
other data, right?
yeah, it can be any other data.
Okay, okay.
It can be any other data because that's where the modules comes into the picture. So global HR focuses mainly on the employee data, and this absence management, time and labor also kind of rely on the employees data. But there are several other modules like supply chain or procurement. These are completely
Mhm.
dealt, being dealt with the company's information, like maybe the inventories of the company or
Okay,
the kind of sales and marketing, that lies with that particular info.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
And all the other HRMS and HRIS portals comes under ERP, or those are different?
No, those can be integrated with ERP, but they are not a part of the ERP.
Okay,
So
so they are not in ERP.
they are not in the ERP. But
Okay.
slow by slow, what is happening, even the vendors, like for example, Oracle, right, who has provided this Oracle Fusion, they are trying
Hmm.
to bring these new small modules as well into the picture so that everything can be in a one single system. So that's what they're planning, but which is not implemented yet so far.
Got it.
Yes. Okay. And whatever that you're seeing right now on the screen are some of the ERP providers right now in the market. And everyone is, every application here is having their own pros and cons. And, the companies can decide based on, by getting the demos, by having several factors considered. So that way they can decide on how to go for which application. Like they can decide on that. We'll understand what are the different factors that an organization would be, relying to choose the application, right? So this is just some theoretical part, nothing to worry on this. Now let's get into some real-time understanding on how exactly this thing happens. Okay. All right, let's start fresh. Let's say there is a company. Maybe I'll just take my name, like Pawan Solutions is a company, and I've been in the market for almost 10 years. Okay. And in the past 10 years, I might be having some employees who has gone out and who are still staying in my company and who got newly hired. It could be mixed of all these categories. So right now, let's say I'm having around 500 employees, 500 active employees, I would say. So you can relate to the information here. So currently, as of today, as of Jan 5th, 2025, I have 500 active employees in my system. And maybe in the past, around, let's say around 600 employees has got exited. Let's say inactive employees, 600 inactive, which means like they have gone out from my organization in the past 10 years. Okay. So out of this 500, maybe some 100 people got recently hired in the last 2 months. It could be anything, right? So these two categories are having right now in my organization. Maybe I might not be having an ERP application, and it's becoming very difficult for me to maintain all this information because my organization is growing up, right? So at that time, what I'll do, I'll try to reach out to the ERP providers in the market, because right now ERP is really important to maintain this information. So I'll I'll reach out to some of the ERP providers saying that I need some application to manage my employees info. There are so many ERP providers as we have seen right now here, right? So these people are different ERP providers. So maybe what I can request the providers to provide me a demo or to give me a demo. Okay, let's take an example, right? Oracle. So there will be a team inside the Oracle. Let's say like sales team who will reach out to me when I say that I need some ERP application. Obviously, the information goes and spreads inside the like into the ERP providers, right? So they will reach out to me. Sales team will reach out to me with a proper demo on what exactly their application can provide me. So this is how the real time, the project choosing or the application choosing happens. Okay, so I'm just explaining you that. So Oracle, let's say there could be some other application, anything. I'm just picking a name. You don't need to worry about this thing. Even Workday is a part of Oracle. Let's say SAP for now. So, so I'll get the demo from both the teams. So the sales team will reach out to me with a proper demo on how exactly their application works and how much user friendly the application is. All these kind of different factors will be discussed in the demo. Okay. And I might be having some factors to decide my application based on these different criteria. Let's say licensing cost, right? And then how much user friendly the application is. And obviously the database maintenance, right? How easy for me to maintain the data. Security. I'm just giving you some factors, need not to be only this. There could be several other factors that the organizations will be relying on to decide an application. Okay. So but these are at least the main level, and obviously the brand who is providing this particular application, because that also depends for a long term long scope, right? When you are deciding on application, if you want to maintain that in a long term, you need to also rely on the brand, like who is providing this particular application. So when I get the demo from these two teams, and obviously I'll get to know what exactly the kind of significance or what is the licensing cost, how much user friendly the application is, at least I'll get a basic idea. So with these factors, let's say I have decided an application which is called Oracle Fusion HCM. We'll just start with that. Okay. So I decided to go for Oracle Fusion HCM. So this is the application that I want to implement right now, which means when I say implement, so I want to get this application designed for my company. Okay. When I say design, maybe I'll get the license of this first thing. Okay. Let's say I'll get the license of this Oracle Fusion HCM, so that uh, the way that we have discussed about the gmail.com. So there will be an URL for every application. So for every company's application, for example, if I am getting the Oracle Fusion HCM for my company, so I'll get a separate URL. Let's say I'm just going to get an URL for you right now. So I'll just get this. So this is a sample URL for one of the instance, for one of the company, I would say right now. Okay. So these kind of URLs are given, like a unique URL was, it will be given to each of the companies. Okay. So that they can maintain their own data into their application. No one else can actually see that particular info without the proper access. So that's how I'll get an URL and some credentials for that. But see, when I get the license, I don't know anything about Oracle Fusion and how to implement that. I just know what are the uses of it. and what could be the licensing cost and some other factors for it. But I don't know how to implement. None of my employees know how to implement. So that is where this project bidding happens. Okay. So I got the license from Oracle. Maybe I might get some suggestions from Oracle on who will implement this particular application for me. Right. So I'll just take a pass to understand if, to just check if anyone is having any questions here, because whatever that we are going to discuss from now on will be interesting, and it's necessary for you to understand on how exactly this thing happens in the market.
Pawan,
So,
who is
Pawan,
going to maintain this data? Like,
Mhm.
whoever owns this application, like, I can say, if my company is going to take the license of this Oracle HCM Fusion, okay?
Yes. Mm.
So, who is going to maintain it? Does Oracle company is going to taking care of those data, or like we have to maintain that data, like company which is going to take the license?
Yes, I'll tell you about that. See, when we get the license, and this particular application is a cloud application, right? So whatever the data that you store in the application, everything will be stored in Oracle database servers. And you don't need to maintain any private database servers and that security and everything. Everything will be taken care by Oracle. So that is the reason this is being opted by many of the customers, many of the organizations right now, because it's very easy to maintain the data. Security patches, the kind of data security, everything will be maintained by Oracle. That was the main advantage here.
uh, Pawan, you said like there will be a unique
Sure.
link, right?
Yes. Yes.
What if I want to look at this data remotely or something? Like, will I have to use the same? Will there be any common login for that one, or I'll definitely, or should I compulsory use that unique link to the this thing?
I'll tell you. So this unique URL is given to a company, and
Okay.
how many number of employees are in that particular company, right? They'll have the same URL, just that their logins will be different, right? Gmail.com, we all have the same URL, but our logins are different, right? Username and password.
Yes,
So
yes.
similar to that, your logins will be different, and you will be having the database access inside the application. If you want to see the data inside that, you can go, and there'll be a common area inside the application itself where you can go ahead and access it.
Okay, okay.
Okay. And obviously, see, it depends completely on your access, like how much level of access that you are having. Based on that, you can see that info.
But see, otherwise, if I own this company, I like you said, I own this company. So I
Yes.
had I had an emergency. I don't have my mobile or something, but I have to access an employee data. So what if I am in a remote area where I don't have access to my own belongings, and if I want to use somebody else's laptops and see, so should I have to go through that separate unique URL at that point of time also?
I mean, that is the main reason why Oracle has designed. See, if you have an access to any laptop, but if you don't
Okay.
have that URL, yes, you can't access the particular data. So that is
Okay.
strictly given by Oracle, and obviously the kind of
Yeah, I got my answer.
yeah, that's the only thing.
Thanks.
Perfect. Okay. Any other questions from anyone?
Regarding that only, I think,
Yes.
oh, sorry. Uh, Means like each URL, they will maintain different databases to maintain their data, right? It's not like,
Exactly, exactly.
okay.
Because see, even in
Mm-hmm.
India itself, we have different database servers in different locations. I think few are
Mm-hmm.
nearby Mumbai and few are nearby Noida or something. So
Mm-hmm.
they have this big database servers which they are maintaining, and for every URL, they are having a separate database servers over there. So which Oracle is maintaining accordingly.
Okay.
It's completely cloud thing, right? So it's easy for them, and they are having a big team who can maintain this database and everything. Perfect. So if no questions further, we'll just turn to the real-time project choosing how exactly it happens. Okay, cool. So as I said, right now I have decided what application that I want to use, right? So I have decided that I'll just go with Oracle Fusion HCM, depending on some factors. Maybe the licensing is depending on how many employees that I'm having in my application. Let me just understand and explain you this point. So Oracle Fusion HCM licensing cost depends on like this. So right now the number of users I am having in my particular URL, like particular this particular URL, right? So let's say I'm having 100 users. the licensing cost will be depending on this particular number of users. But there are so many other tools right now. The licensing cost doesn't depend on how many users that you're having. So that's like just a fixed licensing cost. Maybe some categories would be there, but you need to pay that particular amount to get this licensing cost. So this is also one other reason why people are going into Oracle Fusion, because the licensing cost is completely depending on how many number of users that they are having in the system. Okay. So yeah, obviously there are different factors they are considering as well. So which is okay. Now let's understand the bidding thing which happens. So I have decided that I want to go with this application. Now I'll reach out to the implementation partners in the market, which is this. Okay. So when I got the demo from Oracle, and when I said the Oracle sales team that I'll go with this with your application itself, they will also give us the suggestions that okay, right now we have these many implementation partners, like we have Infosys, so we have Capgemini, and we have Accenture, and there are mid-level companies as well. Like I'll mention my company name, which is called Covean, right? So Covean is also implementation partner for Oracle. So based on our company's size, Oracle can also recommend us that okay, you can just go with these kind of companies who are right now the best implementation partners in the market, and you can deal the kind of sales how exactly you want to happen and in how many months that you want to have this implemented. That will deal. Like our company and the implementation partner will discuss and decide. Oracle can give us the suggestions over there. So there would be multiple implementation partners. So again, the bidding will happen here. So what will happen? So I'll just post a note that I want to have this implementation happen for Oracle Fusion, which I recently got licensed. Then what will happen from all the different implementation providers, they will also come up with a demo saying that, okay, so my company is implementing, let's say some sales team from Infosys is coming in, right? So Infosys sales team will reach out to me saying that okay, my company has done these many implementations in the past couple of years, and we have done these many implementations, and the go live, which means the project we have handed over in the proper time. Let's maybe obviously the branding is there, and they would be maintaining a proper data, and resources will be there, like the proper resources who can handle the data properly will be there. So they'll explain all those things. Same thing happens from here, Accenture, Covian. So everything will be there. Now the next thing is it's not only about the branding, also about how much charge that they are charging, right? How much cost that they are charging. So let's say my project to implement this information. So Infosys is saying that okay, we need 3 months of time to implement your application. Basically, to kind of store every information of your organization, employees data, everything into this particular application. And the cost for 3 months, let's say some particular, let's say 60,000 USD. I'm just giving in the USD. It's need not to be every time the USD thing, but just I'm just saying that. So same thing happens with every other company, and then I can decide on some of the factors which implementation partner that I should go for. So the branding could be there, but it need not to be the over amount that I'm paying there, because it's just like 600 plus 500, 1100 employees, right? It's not a big, you know, number of employees also that they are going to implement. So based on different factors, let's say that I have decided I want to go with, for now, Infosys itself. Okay. So I have given the project to the Infosys saying that, okay, I don't know anything about Oracle Fusion HCM, how to implement it. So I'm handing this application to you, which means I'm going to give one credentials and this URL to you. So you implement this for me end to end. My entire information should be in this application, right? So when I say my entire information, need not to be only employees. Someone just asked this question, right? It need not to be only employees info. So it could be Pawan Solutions is operating in how many countries, right? Let's say India, so US and UK. So I'm maintaining in these three different countries. So which means my application should have the information saying, okay, Pawan Solutions is operating in three different countries, three different legislations, right? And even out of India, how many cities? Let's say Bangalore, Hyderabad, Noida, for example, Texas, some cities. I'm just going with this thing, UK, London, right? Let's take these things. So even this information should be there in my application. So along with this, how many departments that I'm having, how many jobs like senior software engineer, senior consultant, the titles of the jobs. So every setup level information should be maintained in my application. Only after maintaining all this setup information, then only the employees information can come in, right? See, if I don't maintain the city's data, data, job data, I can't hire an employee for all these departments or the jobs, right? I should maintain the setup data first. So that itself will take some part of the implementation in the first phase. So maintaining the setup level information and everything. So after that, the employees data comes into the picture. So which means, so they have to first load how many people got exited and how many people are currently active in the system. Each and everything, even though the employee has gone out. So at that time when employee was there in the system, so what was his job or grade or their salary, who is their manager, every information, like the historical information, right? Everything has to be maintained. So when I want to see the information in the future, like overall in the past 10 or 15 years, how many people has worked in my company, I should be able to see that complete history. I can't just maintain my current active information, right? So historical information is really must for any company. So even this Infosys team has to kind of implement in my application. So that is how the basic project bidding happens outside. So even I was a part of the recent bidding which was happened in Bangalore. So customer will be having several questions, right? When I say customer here, Pawan Solutions is a customer, and let's say if I'm from the Infosys, I'm from the implementation partner side, and this is a customer. So we have given this demo for some of the one of the company in the Bangalore, and they are having several questions. Obviously, like how exactly the security happens, like if the data breach happens, how to kind of overcome that, and how to ensure the data breach doesn't happen. We should be able to answer everything to the customer. Then only okay they can get some trust on, okay, this is an application for us which we can maintain for a long term, right? So that is how the project bidding happens, and the sales team will take care about the cost and everything, like if it is 3 months, how much cost it's going to take for the implementation. So that entire discussion will happen. So in the real time, that's how it happens. Okay, so I'm just going to explain a little brief about what will be the next steps of this implementation happens, and we are going to just stop there, and then we can decide on what will be the next steps. Okay, so let's say the 3 months of implementation is happening. Okay, so after this 3 months, implementation happened. So which means every employee's information in the system, every setup level information is in the system. Okay, so that application will be handed over to my. There'll be a core team in in my organization as well. Let's say some team called cloud team. Even though they don't know anything about Oracle Fusion HCM, I might be having some 3 people in my cloud team, you know, who can get this application handed over from Infosys. But even at that time, if my cloud team doesn't know anything about Oracle Fusion HCM, right? What will happen? Initially, the 3 months was an implementation project, correct? So after these 3 months, let's say till my cloud team is ready to handle this application, so I can have the Infosys team itself to continue for my support project, right? Whatever got implemented, support project. So we can call, these are two different types of projects we have currently. So after the implementation, they can still continue, maybe with some cost and everything. Like for support, we need two resources, and this will be their costing, and everything will be decided. For next, let's say 6 months, I want to have the people to support my application. So wherever there is an issue, you might get a doubt after the implementation. What is the need of support? See, when the people start using the application, there could be some issues which could be coming in because of their confusions, right? Maybe someone might be logging into the system with an incorrect password of 3 times and it get locked. Someone should be there to unlock that. That's just a basic issue. But there'll be several other factors where the support is needed for the application when it was newly implemented, right? So till the time my team is ready, I might have the same team to extend for my support. And then that's how the next, kind of this application maintenance happens. So that's just a basic overview on what exactly an ERP and what is the data gets maintained in it, and how a project bidding happens outside, or how an organization chooses the application, right? So this is a basic level. So any questions so far? Let me just check the chat box if anyone has dropped anything. Okay, any more questions? at least to the basic understanding of how exactly it happens outside the market. Because see, if you try to learn this, most of the people will just let you know on how exactly, I mean, what exactly the application does and what you need to learn the application, but what exactly it's happening in the real time, very few people knows about that, right? When you understand that, then only you'll get some interest on, okay, this is how the real time is happening. At least we can, we can relate to what exactly happening in the application. Okay, so I hope no questions so far. All right, so we'll just stop till here. So this is just a basic introduction of the ERP and a few other things. So the training is going to start effective from, I would say, Tuesday, which I'll discuss and kind of decide on the timings and everything. So what we are going to exactly learn in the application when we start the training, and how that's going to be useful for your profile. I'll just give a brief about that as well. So the application that we are going to learn is called Oracle Fusion HCM. HCM is nothing but human capital management. Just to give you the background of the name. So human capital management. And there are several modules in Oracle Fusion. Maybe I'll just open this curriculum what I have. Okay. So this is just a curriculum which will be shared across to the people who will be coming for the training. Anyway, I'll just give the background on the Excel itself. So as I said, there are several modules, like we have global HR, absence, compensation, time and labor, so many other modules, even the payroll module, right? There are different modules. Apart from this, there are several other. So we are going to focus mainly on these two modules for the entire training. So technical as well as functional. I'll make you understand what exactly technical functional when we start the training. Same thing goes for the absence as well. So these two are the main modules in every organization for the ERP application, because global HR is must. Because if someone is coming into the system, this will be the entry gate that person will come in. This will be the entry module. The information gets stored, and that information will be used across every other module. So this is really must for everyone who is learning this application to get some idea. And this is also an added advantage, I would say. So let's say that you have decided if you want to switch your career into Oracle Fusion, into the cloud applications, right? So these two modules will put some weightage on your profile, saying that, okay, at least, two modules to start your career, and you can get insight. Then start learning the new modules. See, when you start working in the real-time projects, they might not be having only two modules. They would be having some other which you can learn internally. That thing will happen when you are working parallel, right? It will happen. But at least to get yourself in the interviews, to make the interviews clear, right? To start your career with this, at least these two modules are really must for you to learn, technically as well as functionally. See, some people will learn only the technical things and can still get the jobs, right? Because there are so many availability opportunities right now in the market for the technical people. In a project, it would be like three technical and one functional. That's how the ratio will be: three technical and one functional, right? So when you understand this, technical will have many opportunities, and functional is having, like, it's having a great demand in the market. But when you learn both, your profile will be like anything. So that is the reason why I'm teaching technical and functional, both the things, for these two modules. And don't worry, as I said, no more coding. So if you learn the basic SQL concepts, which we can also learn when we are going through the training, that will be really enough, and just the application that you need to learn, like navigations and what exactly this navigation does. And if you want to do something where you have to go in the application, all these kind of factors. So
Pawan, what is financial modules?
financial module, it's completely related to maybe the kind of finance that particular company has generated for the past. It could be the profits of that or loss of that.
So
It could be
which
several other things.
so
Yeah.
we will get into that also here or not?
No, we are not getting into that. See, this is all HCM modules. Like the HCM, we have, like, you know, uh, we have supply chain. Along with that, finance is also one of the category. So we're not getting into that particular thing. We are mainly focusing on the global HR and absence modules. That's what we are going to focus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because what I have analyzed from the outside market right now, how the opportunities are, most of the opportunities are from the HCM side, where the employees' data maintenance, right? These factors, there are several opportunities right now. At least if
So
you guys,
actually,
right?
actually, I come from a non-IT background, so I just want to go into financials like project costing and grants
Understood.
and
Yeah, yeah. I get that. See, even those modules are also available, but when we compare the ratio of the opportunities right now, HCM is having kind of a little bit high demand right now, and even the same company might be having finance, which we can get internally. So the options will be there.
got it.
Okay, but right now, what we are going to focus on these two modules for the next two
No,
months. Schedule will be shared, for the people who are interested. Like it's going to be like a two month schedule, and in how many days that we are teaching in a week, and how much of time that we are going to take. Everything will be shared across. But this is what the main focus area. And because, as I said, these benefits about the Oracle Fusion Cloud application, so the kind of estimation of the long term scale, right? So at least for the next couple of years, maybe it would be 2 decades, like 20 plus years, this particular application can be survived because of the branding as well as the benefits of this application. That's because so many companies are getting, showing their interest towards this application. And if my company right now in this year, let's say my implementation is happening for 6 months, right? So
hmm,
when I implement this for 6 months, I'll have the same company to support my application for the next 1 or 2 years. Because in my projects that I have worked on, literally they got the contract for the next couple of years, like almost 3 plus years, right? So if one company is going on like that, if multiple companies are coming in, you can easily survive this for the next 20 years. That won't be a problem. So that's the reason this application can be survived for a long term, where you can just improve your modules like year on year so that you can just survive in it. So that's how the thing is right now. And if any other questions, if you have, we can discuss. Else, we can discuss personally one on one on how it's going to be the next things.